Hello, y'all. Welcome to Thriving with Sickle Cell. My name is Fatima. I just wanted to come on here and talk about something I've been thinking about a lot lately. My kids are 2 and 3, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, like I mentioned. My husband works full-time, corporate guy. Often, my husband and we discuss like kids' future, how we want to raise them, things that happened with them, concerns we may have. And as I'm raising my own kids, as is natural, I guess, I start to think about how I was raised and my parents, and I just have so much appreciation for them and so much more respect for them. Moms always say this, like, when you're a teenager, you're like, oh, when I grow up, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, wait till you have your own kids. You're going to see what you did to me and all this kind of stuff. But the days here, I have my own kids. And it just helps me reflect on my mom and my dad, and specifically how they raised me and my sister. We both have sickle cell disease, and my 3 younger brothers, they have the trait. But the first two, so they have 5 kids. And the first 2 of us are girls, and we have sickle cell disease. My parents are Nigerian. They're immigrants, came here in the late 80s to the US from Nigeria, West Africa. There are certain things about Nigerian culture, about Nigerian parenting, that traditionally is very harsh, is very harsh. Let's say harsh. That's a nice word to use. Borderline abusive at times, but my parents gave us a lot of free reign, in the sense that they let us have opinions. We had family meetings and stuff, but at the end of the day, no was no, and they were in charge. We never got confused as to who was in charge. Anyways, I say all this to say that I remember there were times when I would get sick and I would have really bad pain crises. Maybe I'd be 8 or 9 or 10, and I'd wake up in the morning, have a pain crisis, and my mom would just look at me and be like, okay, you have a pain crisis, what should we do? And like, okay, take my medication, drink more water, make sure I drink more water today, dress warmer. We lived in Massachusetts, so it gets pretty cold. Okay, dress warm. Okay, I'd eat breakfast so I could take my medication. And then as I'm getting ready for school, she'd say, like, is your pain bad enough that you need to stay home from school today? Or is it bad enough that you can go to school, but it's going to be kind of a rough day? What do you think? And oftentimes I would just go to school and then come home and rest later, or stay home. And now that I look back on that, for her to give a 10-year-old that much autonomy is amazing, really, And at the time, sometimes what I really wanted was to be like hugged and babied and just, taken care of. And don't get me wrong, she always had food there, so but I was still responsible for either like making my own snack or heating up my own food and all that. And now as an adult, I realized that she would do all these things and like sometimes cry herself to sleep at night, just knowing my sister and I were in pain or struggling that day or that week or whatever. But as a child, I was like, my goodness, this lady is so harsh. My grandmother would come around and try to make me comfortable and baby me and all that. And my parents were definitely like loved us. They expressed love towards us. But I guess what I'm saying is that now as an adult, now that I have to manage my own home and take care of my own kids, my family, I so appreciate the kind of tough love and the autonomy she gave me. For instance, like, we'd go to the doctor's appointment by the age like 11, I was expected to come with my own questions. I was expected to interact with the doctor, and she would also ask questions to the doctor, but she took more of a passenger. She became more of a passenger in my healthcare. Well, not really. What she would do was she would pretend like she was letting me take control, but she would be like, send emails to my doctor, all up in my business, and as she should. But I'm thankful that she gave the illusion of me gaining control, having control of my health, in order to teach me how to advocate for myself. So all this is to kind of put it out there that if you have a child who's suffering from sickle cell disease, or any kind of chronic illness, any illness in general, or learning disability, ADHD, whatever it may be, if you have a child that's struggling, and of course it's easier said than done. I mean, having a child with any sort of difficulty outside of the norm probably like triples your responsibility as a parent. But the thing about kids that we have to remember is that they're children now, but the goal is to make them functioning adults, right? So how do you help your child advocate for themselves? How do you help your child take control of their health or start to learn how to care for themselves? Because the thing is, we're not going to be around forever, and we all want to be. I want to be around. I want to protect my kids forever and ever and ever, but that's just not possible. That's just not what's going to happen, you know. May God preserve our lives and give us long life. Amen. In the meantime, though, how can we prepare our children to take control of their own lives? How can you make them? Because I'm going to tell you something. The pride and the joy and the pride I felt being able to advocate for myself as a teenager, the sense of responsibility, the sense of self, that the feeling that you get the feeling that I got when I was able to make my own doctor's appointment, schedule it, and then eventually when I was 16, drive myself there. Before then, my parents would drive me there, but they would make me make the appointment and then schedule it with them, kind of like sort that out by myself, was amazing. Like you just feel like, okay, I can do this. You kind of start to feel a sense of responsibility. And for that reason, I was able to leave Boston and go to school in Pittsburgh and get a bachelor's degree away from home. And live on my own with roommates. I was able to become a realtor, real estate agent in Boston. I was able to work corporate jobs. I'm not saying any of these things were easy. I was able to get married and have kids, and all that is by the grace of God. I'm so thankful. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge my parents, because, you know, in a way, it's a bit easier to like cuddle your children and make sure that they're okay, and which of course you should do, fine, but it's kind of easier to do that than to teach them how to be accountable and teach them how to care for themselves and teach them that it's not hopeless. Your life this isn't the end of the world. You can do this. And you know, I understand the pushback I'll get and the kind of commenting I'll get, like, oh, poor you, what a miserable life you must have had, or oh, I would never be like that with my kid. But what may work for one kid is not going to work for another kid. Even your own child, what works when they're 7 or 8 is not going to work when they're 9 or 10. So we as parents, we have to take responsibility and figure out, okay, knowing what I know about this particular child, every child is an individual, right? So what might be tough love for one kid would break another kid, right? So we as their parents, as their mom, as their dad, we have to figure out what is going to be best for this child in this situation. All hoping that the goal is going to be to take them towards independence, towards the feeling of pride, that they can learn to advocate for themselves and speak up for themselves and care for themselves. That is a blessing. That is a blessing. That the gift, it's like an intangible gift that it's priceless. That gift you can give to your child, the gift of, I am responsible for myself and I can care for myself, and I'm not afraid to do that. So this topic is a little all over the place, but let me know what you think in the comment down below. Do you think my parents were a bit too harsh, or how do you navigate health with a child in your care? How do you take care of them? How do you teach them to take care of themselves? You know, are you even doing that right now? Could you be doing better at it? You know, leave a comment down below. Take care. Share this message with someone who you might think needs to hear it. Stay blessed. Always take care. Bye.